What's up, Raider Nation? The Bat Fry, Kenny Fry here. Coming up on this episode of the Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders edition, I'll be talking Raiders news and notes from this past week over the bye week, and also taking a look ahead at the Raiders traveling down to South Beach to take on the Miami Dolphins. So we'll talk that, much more, whatever else you guys want to talk to, throw out your comments, questions, whatever you want to throw out there, I'll read it. It doesn't even have to be about the Raiders, it can be whatever you want to talk about. And we'll talk about it. So stay tuned, buckle in, and let's rock. What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. It's Friday, right? You get Fry on a Friday. Why not? Why the hell not? Hope everybody's doing well out there in Silver and Black land. Unfortunately, I got to work this weekend, but it is what it is. Make that cheddar, make that cheese, get some bread. It's coming up on the holiday season here, and you all know what that means. We got the dog barking. There we go. Rock and roll. But anyway, let's get to it. I'm not going to mess around here. I'm going to get right into the Raider talk. So if you're late to the show here, you're a casual Raider fan, casual football fan, or you're just checking me out because I'm a good-looking fella talking here on your old computer screen or wherever you have me on your phone, or even throw me up on the old television there. Huddle the family around the fireplace and check out the Silver and Black Lair. Say, hey, what's Bat Fry talking about this week? So even if you're just a casual fan. The Raiders, they did some firing, right after their loss to Cincinnati, firing a couple coaches, Luke Getsy, the bigger of the names, the Raiders offensive coordinator, first-year offensive coordinator. They also fired James Craig, their offensive line coach, and Rich Gangarello, their quarterbacks coach. The fall guys of just an absolute shit season so far. But it is what it is. Somebody has to take the fall. And I know people are a lot of fans are calling for AP's head. They want AP fired at the end of the season. And, I get it. I absolutely get it. But I just don't understand why, everybody screamed from the rooftop for AP, players, fans. Of course, there were detractors of that, obviously. But you got to give the guy some time. He's a first-time head coach, first-time professional football head coach. I think he was a head coach in high school, whatever the hell that means. And at college, he was an assistant in college at Arizona State, and I think some other places. I could be wrong. But filling in last year in the interim role after Josh McDummy was fired, it looked great. The team was playing for him. The team looked very competitive. Obvious holes, but very competitive. Defense was outstanding. Offense, not so much. But they're disciplined, and they look much better under AP than they did under Josh McDaniels. For whatever reason, it's the coaching, or players just weren't playing for Josh, or was the atmosphere or the culture, whatever you want to call it. I get it. All right, we talked about that ad nauseum last season and into the off season. So you fast forward here, the Raiders. Hire AP, let him pick his coaching staff, and, they hire the GM and stuff like that, Tom Telesco, which was a little bit of a surprise. I thought we had a guy in-house, and for whatever reason, we passed over him. He would have been a first-year GM as well, but we passed over him. And, that it is what it is. From everything I remember, his name is, escaping me right now, but he was very sought after, of a very highly thought of, regarded, soon to be, sooner or later, a GM. The GM that was an AGM last year. He's still the Raiders AGM, I believe. I believe he retained that role. And like I said, his name escapes me right now. But anyway, So the Raiders go that route, hire the coach. and then hire the GM instead of letting the GM pick the coach, which, it seems to make more sense. I know Q on Locked On Raiders Sports. It also does all bunch of other radio shows or whatever. But I listened to him on Locked On Raiders, and it's something that he talked about last season. After the season was over, you need to hire your GM before you hire the coach. You got to put you can't put the cart before the horse, right? The horse is for pulling, not for pushing. Horses don't push, they pull. And so that's kind of what they did anyway. They went ahead, they hired AP. They interviewed some coaches. They hired AP, and then they hired the GM. So whatever. So whether or not that's one of the reasons, one of the downfalls to what we have going on here in Las Vegas, I'm not really sure. It's just something that it was still kind of surprising the way they went about doing their hirings, and agree, disagree with it. That's how it went, and it just, to me, doesn't make sense. I didn't agree with it, but we still got the coach that I wanted. GM wise, I don't know. I think that has yet remains to be seen. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm not sold on Telesco, but I don't think he's done anything like super, awful, as far as signings or whatever, and picking guys up. The draft, Brock Bowers, so far he's done pretty well, and DJ Glaze, coming in now at right tackle, he seems to be doing not all that bad as well. So JPJ, he's starting to come along as well. So it's so far, it seems like Telesco's draft hasn't been too bad. So that's one way to look at it. Let's see. You give him another full offseason, see what he does. Free agency wise, the Raiders will have a good deal of money to play with. So we'll see what happens there, and another draft and such. But AP, getting back to what I was talking about, but Antonio Pierce. A lot of people call for Antonio Pierce's head. After the season, saying he shouldn't be retained, shouldn't be brought back. And I just don't understand how you can go that route. After, begging and pleading and, we got this guy's back. He needs to be the Raiders' next head coach. He tells it like it is. He demands, perfection, this, that, the other. The guys respect him. And then things don't go well. His first ever season as a head coach in the NFL, things don't go well and you want to can him right away. I just don't see how you can do that. I think that there needs to be at least another season of debauchery here, of crap, before you can just go ahead and say, all right, this experiment did not work. We got to eat the poo on this and move on. And I just can't, a first-time head coach, I just can't see you firing him right away. I just can't see it. Still working his roster, still trying to figure things out. Yes, his first, significant hire, the offensive coordinator, was garbage. It was straight up garbage. That's all I can say about it. It was not good at all. And hopefully he learns from that. The original offensive coordinator that they wanted was Cliff Kingsbury, and he's doing a fantastic job in Washington. He came in, they interviewed him a couple times. They wanted him. They offered him a contract. He wanted 3 years. They didn't want to give him 3 years, and he said, all right. And Washington, tiptoes their little stinky asses in there, and they take him away. So it is what it is. Why not give Kingsbury that third year? Why not? That's the guy that you wanted. That's the guy that can come in, thinks outside the box and can get your offense moving. And you didn't want to give him that extra year. I don't understand it. I don't know what the reason behind it was. I haven't seen a good reason for it. Just give him the extra year. Give him the extra year. If he goes out there, offense is fantastic and just rolling through. And now he's getting head coaching hires. It is what it is. It is what it is. So I don't know if that's why you don't give him the third year or why you only offer him 2 is because, you're worried that he's going to leave early anyway as a head coach or something. I don't know. I have no idea why you don't give him that third year. There's smarter people out there that know why. Me, just a regular old ham and egger here, talking Raider football and whatever sports shows that I do here. I can't wrap my little mind around it. So we got a comment here. First comment of the night from our boy, the mayor of Las Vegas, my favorite former cohort here on Out of the Box Sports. We used to do the Las Vegas sports scene together. Rob Hefner. What's up, Rob? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for checking the show out. Thanks for commenting. Rob, if you're still watching, what's the feel out there in Las Vegas? Rob lives in Las Vegas. I went to school with Rob here in Pennsylvania, Pottsville High, the old Crimson Tide. What's the feel? What's the general feel out there in Las Vegas with AP and stuff like that in this Raiders franchise? I know I have a pretty good idea how the townies feel about the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think, they're a big fan of the Raiders, coming in to begin with. And obviously the way things have gone, I'm sure they're not a big fan of the Raiders. They're, they want their own thing. I get that, like the Las Vegas, the Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights, and then the Las Vegas Aces and stuff, the WNBA team. Instead of getting Oakland's garbage, the Raiders and the A's now rolling through. But besides that, what's the feel in Las Vegas on this Raiders team? Is the general feel there? Are they going to dump AP or what? What's the feel? If you're still watching, Rob, if you can answer that, I'm kind of curious as to what the townies feel. Rob has the pulse of Las Vegas in his hand there. Speak to me, brother. So anyway, so the Raiders, they go out, they do all these firings. They get these firings. They, like I said, Getsy, Craig, Scangarello, which is a lot of fun to say. I'm not going to lie to you, not fun to spell, but a lot of fun to say. Scangarello. So like a rash that you get in your rear end or something. I got a bad case of Scangarello on my butt. I don't know, but anyway, the Raiders went ahead and they they promoted Scott Turner. Scott Turner has been an offensive coordinator before, most recently with the Washington Commanders, and I think past 2 or 3 seasons he was with them as the offensive coordinator before he came over to Las Vegas, and I believe he was the assistant offensive coordinator. He was the offensive quality control guy or something like that. I can't remember his exact title, but anyway, it's a promotion. And he'll also be doing the quarterback coaching as well. He'll be also taking charge of the being the quarterback coach and whatever that means. To be honest with you, these guys know how to play quarterback. I don't know why you need a separate coach for that, but I guess maybe they just need that extra guy there to watch mechanics and listen to these quarterbacks whine about getting hit late or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, and they also I don't know if it's a promotion or not or what, but they named Joe Philbin as the offensive line coach, and Joe Philbin been offensive line coach many times over. A very good offensive line coach. He was a former head coach, and he's one of those guys that was brought in by Antonio Pierce to help him along with some of his decision making and this and that. Which these guys have failed him. Let's put it out there. In silver and black terms, these guys have failed him. They boned him. They really have. Joe Philbin, Marvin Lewis, whoever else they brought in. I don't know who else was. Well, those are the 2 big names that I could think of right now. They had Tom Coughlin in the offseason. I don't think he's there now or anything like that. But in the offseason, they're working out with the Raiders during the preseason and stuff, helping them along. But Marvin Lewis, he's your assistant head coach, I believe, and Joe Philbin. What have these guys done, to help AP? I'd really like to hear. At the end of this season, what these guys actually did, and are they gonna come back? And I don't know. I'm befuddled as to how you can have some of the decision making that's gone on, whether it's roster wise or whether it's in-game decision making by AP. Why these guys, aren't saying, hey, maybe that's not a great idea, or hey, maybe we should go for it here, maybe we should kick it here, or maybe whatever. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of boggles my mind. It really does. So looking at those guys, putting Philbin at the offensive line coach, I think that makes a ton of sense. I still have Marvin Lewis, but they also brought in Norv Turner to be an offensive advisor. And I'm not really sure what purpose that serves. Norv Turner, many times over offensive coordinator, many times over head coach. Actually a pretty good coaching career for Norv Turner. He was a former Raiders coach as well, former Commanders coach, where I think the former the really good years in San Diego with the Chargers there. Had them pretty close to being Super Bowl bound a couple times. Some really good teams with Tomlinson and what the hell's his name? I can't think of it right now. Phillip Rivers, the angry quarterback that likes to pump out have his wife pump out babies. He has like 15 kids. It's unbelievable. Good for you, Philip Rivers. But anyway, and Mrs. Rivers, Anyway, so that's where we go with Norv Turner. It's his son Scott Turner who's going to be the offensive coordinator. So now you bring in another former head coach to be an offensive advisor, and this one I'm fine with. This one I really don't have a whole lot of problems with. Like if you would have brought Joe Philbin in again, I don't remember. I can't think of his tag before he became the new offensive line coach. What his exact role was. But if you would have brought Joe Philbin in and brought him in as the offensive line advisor, to help along maybe a young coach, I'm not sure James Craig full career, but maybe he's a young coach or whatever, fairly, just cutting his teeth into this or whatever you want to say. And if you want to name Philbin as your, offensive line advisor or assistant offensive line coach or whatever, that makes sense to me. Marvin Lewis, assistant head coach. Okay, whatever. I'm not a big fan of that. And then, bringing in Norv Turner as your offensive advisor, I'm all right with that. That's what he's going to be working on. That's what he was good at. And he's going to be working close with his son. So I mean, that makes sense. I feel like that could be a good working relationship. That makes sense to me. And I feel like it could be very beneficial. And I feel like now I'm not going to say that the Raiders offense is going to go out there and they're going to be juggernauts. They're going to go out there putting up 30 points a game. No, this machine is broken. This offensive machine is broken. But I want to see what kind of changes they make, scheme wise. Are they going to stick with the zone run scheme? Or are they going to go more power run, which is beneficial to Zamir White? Zamir White, more of a power runner, get up the field, bash, smash face, stuff like that. Not a very patient runner, not very patient and looking for the holes, looking for the openings, waiting for blocks to happen. Let the young man get up in there then. Let the young man, give him some carries there, let him smash some face and go from there. That's what he does well. Let him do that. And that's one of the downfalls, I think, to Luke Getsy was not adjusting to his personnel, then having them try to adjust to him, have them doing stuff that they probably don't do well because that's his scheme. And it's something I talked about on here many times before is why would you have a coach, whether it's a head coach or whatever, or a coordinator, have a group of players where their skill sets don't match what he is good at coaching. Meaning like if you have a coach that's really good, is a coordinator, an offensive coordinator where his scheme is downfield passing, but you have a quarterback with a lanky arm that can't get it downfield. Why would you do that then? All right, now the coach needs to adjust. He's the coach. He needs to adjust to his quarterback. All right, how can I help him succeed? And if he doesn't do that, well, then, his ass is going to be fired. Team looks like shit. The quarterback looks like shit. And everybody's trash. That's what it is. They need to adjust to what they have. They need to adjust to their personnel instead of having their personnel try to adjust to them in doing stuff that they are maybe not all that good at. So that's my thought on it. Rob says the Raiders have become a tourist trap of the Strip. It's a great for opposing teams' fans want to come to Vegas for a game. Locals haven't bought in like I hope they would, and they're not going to until they win. I mean, that's just how it is. It's not a team that's rooted into Las Vegas like Philadelphia, the Eagles. All right, if they have a season where they're kind of like the Raiders, you're not going to get the tourists there to go watch the other team play against the Eagles, but you're still going to get a decent amount of. You're not going to sell out the stadium probably if the Eagles are 2-7, but you're still going to get a pretty good crowd of solid Eagles fans there cheering on their team or booing their team or whatever. But in Las Vegas, it's just it's a tourist thing. You're going to fill the stadium more than likely, but it's going to be a lot of opposing fans because it's just not rooted. The Raiders aren't rooted in Las Vegas. They're not from Las Vegas, so I guess that's part of it. I'm not really sure. But I guess that's how it feels to me as well. It's just they're going to fill it or get close to filling it, and it's always going to be split or it's always going to be depending on how the Raiders are playing. It's going to be opposing team heavy, and it sucks. It really does suck. So, all right. So moving on from that, so some player stuff. Michael Mayer, great to hear that he returned to practice. He's been missing since week 3. He's left for personal reasons. He's been out since then. And, it really sounds like some mental health issues, whether it's personal or whether it was football related. I'm not really sure. Nobody really knows. Like, there hasn't really. I haven't heard any rumors as to what it could have been or whatever, and they're pretty tight-lipped about it, which they should be. I don't need to know what his personal issues were. Nobody deserves to know except for him and his family. So move on from there. He's back. He says he feels good. He said he feels well. He's in the right headspace, and finally sleeping and stuff like that. So it sounds like it's a lot of mental issues. Whether it was the pressure from football or there was something else personal going on. I'm not really sure, but it's good to see him back. It is good to see him back, and we'll see what happens. The Raiders have until 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday to release him from the what the hell was it called? The personal to release him back to the roster. I can't remember the exact term for his designation while he was off. Whatever it was. They have 4 p.m. Eastern. He came back last week, worked, kind of ramped him up during the bye week, and this week, of course. And so he could return this Sunday. They could release him and let him play. We'll see what happens if he gets some playing time or not, or they wait another week and let him kind of still get acclimated. There's a chance that Dylan Parham returns this week as well to the starting lineup. He did return against the Bengals. Did not start, though. Got in a little bit with the Cody Whitehair injury. And so we'll see what happens there. And the thing with Dylan Parham that's interesting is, since he's been with the Raiders, the last was he drafted last year, 2 years ago? I think it was last. He was drafted last year, I believe. He was the left guard, and he played very well at left guard on the same side as Colton Miller. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Do they move him back to the left guard and keep him there? Because right now we have Jordan Meredith starting at right guard, and he's done a great job. He's done a very good job there. He did a very good job against Cincinnati. He's done a good job filling in there throughout the season, and he's earned that spot right now at right guard. So I would expect if Dylan Parham does start, I'd expect Dylan Parham to move to left guard. So you have both guard positions open. So where does that leave JPJ if Andre James returns? I'm not really sure if Andre James is going to return or not. I feel like he's going to be out this week. I think that's what the injury report said so far, but I don't think that's final until 90 minutes before the game. But anyway, with Jackson Powers Johnson, the rookie, playing mostly guard this season, the last I think couple games, he started at center, and he's done a pretty good job. He did a very good job against Cincinnati, and which you don't hear much about our offensive line doing good jobs, but Jackson Powers Johnson did a good job against the Cincinnati Bengals, and as well as Jordan Meredith. So do they keep Jackson Powers Johnson at center, which it seems like that's the most sensible thing to do. That's what he was in college. That's where he was most dominant at college. And that seems like that's where his future is with the silver and black. So why not just move him to center and be done with it? And, whatever happens at the end of the season happens. If that means moving on from Andre James, that means moving on from Andre James. That is what it is. The Raiders did re-sign him this offseason. I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3 year deal, but I feel like it was a 2-year deal. So they can get out of that. They have plenty of money, cap space where they could buy it out, and it'd be a minor cap hit and it wouldn't be a big deal. So we'll see what happens there with the offensive line. A little bit of juggling there as we start to kind of figure some things out. All right, so moving on from that, we're going to talk Raiders versus the Dolphins. The injury report right now, you have Nate Hobbs listed as out. Again, it's not official until 90 minutes before game time. Andre James out, Cody Whitehair out, and Harrison Bryant, the tight end, also out. For Miami, questionable Alex Ingold, the fullback. Kendall Fuller out. Jalen Ramsey, questionable. Isaiah Wynn, he's on the PUP list. And Karen Armstead, he's also questionable. Jalen Phillips, also a linebacker, star linebacker, stud linebacker from last year. He's on the PUP list as well. I'm not sure when he's scheduled to return. But I don't think it's this week. So that's good for the Raiders. Looking at the Dolphins' record, they're 3-6 this season with win the first week. Win at Jacksonville, 20-17, and they lost to Buffalo, 31-10. Lost at Seattle, 34-3. Now, Tua got hurt in that Buffalo game. So week 2. So now these next couple games, the next 4 games, were all backup quarterbacks. They lost at Seattle, 24-3. Loss versus Tennessee, 31-12. Win at New England, 15-10. Loss at Indianapolis, 16-10. Then Tua came back against Arizona. That was a loss, 28-27. You instantly see the offense much better under Tua, obviously, than under Huntley and Thompson. Loss at Buffalo, 30-27. Close games there. Then win at the Los Angeles Rams, 23-15. So with Tua back, the offense is much better. Defense is still kind of shaky, but they did a good job against the Rams there. Looking at some stats, Tua, in his 5 games this season, he's 113 of 156 passing. That's 72.4% completion percentage, 1,155 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he's averaging 231 yards passing per game. Rushing-wise, they have A-Chain, 105 rushes for 457 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, 55 carries, 214 yards, 3.9 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. And Jalen Wright, 47 carries, 211 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Looking at the wide receivers wise, of course, you have some pretty big names there. And Tyreek Hill, he has 37 catches with 60 targets. That's a lot of targets and not a lot of catches for all those targets. 462 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 31 catches and 44 targets, 367 yards, 1 touchdown. Jonnu Smith, their big tight end, 33 catches, 44 targets, 347 yards, 1 touchdown. And the running back A-Chain, 42 catches, leading the team in receptions, 42 receptions, 47 targets, 317 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. Looking at some defensive leaders, Calais Campbell leads the team with sacks with 3. Jalen Ramsey, there's a couple guys on their team with 1 interception tied for the top of Jalen Ramsey's the biggest name, so we'll go with him, 1 interception. And Jordan Brooks leads the team in tackles with 73 tackles, with 41 of those being solo. So looking at the Raiders, sitting at 2-7. Excuse me. Lost their first game at the Chargers, 22-10. They won at Baltimore, 26-23. Lost versus Carolina in our home opener, 36-22. Beat Cleveland, 20-16. Lost at Denver, 34-18. Lost at versus Pittsburgh, 32-13. The loss at the Los Angeles Rams, 20-15. Loss versus Kansas City, 27-20. And the loss at Cincinnati, 41-24. Now, some of these games with these big scores were fairly close heading into the fourth quarter. And but the defense hasn't been playing up to snuff. Just as bad as the offense has been, the defense has been just as bad. So maybe not just as bad, but still not great. Looking at some stats, it looks like Gardner Minshew will be the starting quarterback again. I was kind of surprised. I thought Desmond Ridder would get the nod, but from what I understand, it's Gardner Minshew. He'll be getting the nod again. And I say, why not? He's done a decent job getting completions out there. It's just the turnovers have killed this man. The turnovers have absolutely destroyed him. But we'll see with the different offensive coordinator what happens. I expect a short leash on Minshew. If he goes out there early on, has a bad interception or a fumble or whatever, or just not looking settled out there, I would not be surprised if we see Desmond Ridder very early if Minshew's struggling. So Minshew was 148 of 221. That's 67% completion percentage, 1,501 yards passing. That's 187 yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and the man was sacked 23 times so far this season. 23. Yowzers! You got to yell that one. Yowzers. Rushing-wise, it's awful. Alexander Madison, 92 carries, 301 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Zamir White, Zeus, 60 carries, 174 yards, 2.9 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Looking at receiving-wise, Brock Bowers has been the shining beacon so far during the season. The only really bright light so far this season. I mean, Jacoby Myers as well, but missing a couple of games due to injury. But Brock Bowers really nice season so far. On the road to possibly historic with the receptions and stuff like that. Not only for the tight end, but for rookie receiver and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. 57 catches out of 73 targets, 580 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers, 39 catches out of 54 targets, 430 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Trey Tucker, 25 catches out of 44 targets, 257 yards I don't know if that's 51 or 57. It doesn't matter. Same thing. 1 touchdown. DJ Turner, 10 catches, 21 targets, 99 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Not a whole lot of game time for DJ Turner. He's been getting more since Devontae Adams has traveled his goofy ass across the country to New York. Looking at defenses, our defensive leaders, you have Robert Spillane leading the team in tackles, 86 tackles, 52 of those were solo. Max Crosby, 6.5 sacks. He's our sack leader. He also leads the team in tackles for loss with 11, I believe. Trayvon Merrick also leads the team in interceptions with 2 interceptions. And so that's what we have for Raiders stats. So my keys to victory here, don't turn the ball over. Basically, don't turn the ball over. Defense needs to stop the run. It's going to be super tough. It's going to be very tough. The Raiders are banged up, especially in the secondary. Very banged up. They haven't stopped the run pretty much all season. So there's that, and the speed that the Dolphins possess on the outside. It's gonna be interesting. So Nate Hobbs being out, that's the way it seems right now. DeCam Richardson, rookie, I believe he's going to step in. We'll see what happens there. And the corners, Jacorian Bennett has played very well this season. Very well. A huge difference than last season when he was a rookie. He's looked very good. And Jack Jones seems to be playing better. He seems to be playing better. He was under a lot of scrutiny earlier in the season, especially when AP came out with the whole business decisions comment, and then everybody kind of pointing at Jack Jones, kind of whiffing on a tackle, like very bad whiff, just like really, really ugly, and stuff like that. But it seems like since then, week after week, he's steadily gotten better. So I have faith in those 2 guys, Trayvon Merrick and stuff. So we'll see what happens, but I think first and foremost, it needs to come down to turnovers. You got to absolutely limit your turnovers. We don't want any turnovers. We want the defense to force some turnovers. Let's see if we can get some pressure on Tua. He's an outstanding passer when he's healthy. With all the head injuries and stuff like that, it's any given hit, and his career could be over pretty much. That's how it seems to me. That's how it seems to everybody. So it's still surprising that he's still playing, but that's his decision. So it is what it is. Defensively, like I said, stop the run, and we got to limit the big plays. We can't let Tyreek Hill get behind us. Jalen Waddle, you can't let him end up with 13 to 15 catches, which we've seen in the past. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and you look at Jalen Waddle has 13 catches, 105 yards, and it's like you've seen that a couple times with this Dolphins offense. It's there. And A-Chain, the way he can carry, way he carries the ball, the way he catches the ball, he's dual threat. Very, very tough to defend. I think the Raiders defense is going to be in for a long day, and they don't play well in Miami. They don't play well against Miami. They don't play well in Miami. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a very tough game. And so prediction wise, team. So I'm going to get a couple different predictions. I'll give a score prediction, but also prediction wise, I predict the offensive line. We'll see Colton Miller left tackle. We'll see Parham left guard, JPJ center, Jordan Meredith right guard, and DJ Glaze at right tackle. I think that's going to be our offensive line. I think that's going to be our offensive line moving forward. I think that's what I think. That's what it should be, and see what we got there. But I think we're going to see a little bit more Zamir White. I think we're going to see a lot more power running. I do think that, and I do think we're going to see Michael Mayer. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Michael Mayer catch some balls. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a touchdown. If the Raiders try to get this man a touchdown, kind of lift him up. It'd be a great story. I do think he's going to play. So those are a couple predictions I have there. I do think Max Crosby will have 2 sacks in this game and is just going to run roughshod in the Dolphins' backfield. But he needs help. So we'll see what happens if they can get help up the middle, stop that run, force the pass, and we can see if maybe a Tyree Wilson or DJ Snowden or somebody like that can really help from the other side. So those are my predictions. Score prediction. All right, I'm going to have 2 score predictions. To be a homer, of course, I want the Raiders to win every game. and I'll get to that one more second before I check out of here. But score prediction, homer wise, I say the Raiders are going to win 22-18. It's going to be a stupid ass score, a lot of field goals. But as a non-bias, as a podcaster, trying to be professional here, try to look at straight down the middle. I think the Dolphins are going to win 30-17. I do think it's going to be closer than what that score is, 30-17. But then, of course, like all these other losses that we have in the fourth quarter, the Raiders just kind of gas out, and that's it. So the Raiders. So moving on from that, I got a couple more points before I duck out. Let me go ahead and. I do have a couple more points before I duck out of here. I have some other things going on. Like I said, I also worked this weekend. But the Raiders also had another meeting this past week. I think it was this week or last week. Kind of like airing of grievances. Almost like they almost had a Festivus, but not really, around Christmas time here. The airing of grievances. And it seemed like the consensus from the players was like a mismanagement of time, mismanagement of discipline, and accountability as well. So it's stuff like that, stuff that you don't want to hear as a boss, as an owner, as a coach, as a head coach, because it all starts with you as the head coach. It rolls downhill. It really does. These are the guys that you hired under you, and if you have your players saying mismanagement of time and not being held accountable and discipline issues or whatever, it comes down to you and your assistant coaches. It really does. So AP hears that, and they make moves, the firings, and I don't know I can't remember if the firings happened before or after that meeting, but he has to hear that. He really does have to hear that, and we'll see where we go from there. The Raiders last season under Josh McDaniels and AP, terrific with the penalties. I don't know. I can't remember if they led the league in the fewest penalties or fewest penalty yards or whatever. But they're very close near the top, which is unheard of for any kind of Raider team. Unheard of. And now this season, still not the worst, but they've had penalties at the absolute worst times. And not just like little rinky-dink ass penalties, like a 5-yard penalty or whatever. You're talking like the huge ones, like a big run, a 30-yard run, and then you get a hold. So you lose that 30 yards plus another 10. It's like, shit, man. Or a block in the back, or starting off 1st and 10, and now your guy jumps. Now it's 1st and 15. I said, what the hell are you gonna do now? Now you're already behind the sticks. So stuff like that. So we've had those issues come up, and so we'll see how AP handles them. And again, this is where it boggles my mind with the whole Marvin Lewis thing there, Joe Philbin, and whoever else of the old wigs that he brought in to help him make decisions and help him with stuff. These guys have to see that stuff. They've had to see that stuff, and why would they not bring it to AP's attention? That, hey, you need to get a hold of this, you need to get a hold of that. What the hell are these guys doing? So anyway, moving on from that, I hear a lot of Raiders fans wanting the Raiders to tank for Sanders, or tank for whatever quarterback that might be out there this upcoming draft. And it doesn't. I don't like hearing the word tank. And there's a couple different reasons for it. You just don't know what these guys are going to be. You don't know. All right. You look great in college, but they're playing the University of Alabama, Birmingham. They're not playing, the Steelers. They're not playing the Chiefs or the Sea Chickens or whatever. And you just don't know how it's going to transfer to the NFL. All right. And the other thing is, I just don't see what gives you any faith that the Raiders are going to make the right choice in the first round anyway. Like there's been so many letdowns. We've had so many top 5 picks over the last 20 years since that Super Bowl loss, that, there was no reason that Raiders should not have turned around by now. We've had so many top 5 picks, and there's been so many head-scratching selections. It's like, what in the hell are we doing? Now, there's been some good ones. There has been some good ones. This year's Brock Bowers, Khalil Mack was the right pick. Unfortunately, we didn't hold on to him. Amari Cooper, there's times that he's looked like a first-round pick. There's times that he's not. But, with the Raiders, he had some really big moments, and he had some letdowns, but then also, again, traded. So you have some guys like that. But for the most part, it's hard to go back and get more than like 3 or 4 first round picks that are actually worth that first round pick, out of the last 20 years. So I mean, I don't know why you'd want your team to tank when they can't figure their shit out in the first round. So I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand it, and I don't know. Again, if any of these guys coming out this year, the kid from Miami, or Dion's kid, or whoever it may be, the Milrow kid from Alabama or whatever, if any of these guys are franchise quarterbacks, how do they compare to what last year's class was supposed to be, or whatever? It's I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of tanking. I say get your wins when you can. Try to look respectable and then figure it out in the offseason. So we'll see what happens. The Raiders definitely need a quarterback. The quarterback situation's awful there. And whether it's going to be through a free agency, trade, or draft, I don't know. I don't know where to go with it. By this point here, it's talked about quarterback play here, till I'm blue in the face. It's an ongoing issue. And, I know you don't want to hear it, but Derek Carr was our franchise type quarterback for quite a few years. He didn't take us where we wanted to go, but there's a whole lot of other circumstances that led to that as well. I mean, there was some poor quarterback play. Yes, there was. There was, absolutely was. I'm not going to say he was great, but for the teams that we've had, he did play really, really good. So I don't know. So it's really tough to say. It really is. I just don't like the whole tanking thing, the tanking talk. It doesn't make sense to me at all. All right. So finally, I'm going to go ahead and go through our sponsors here. Out of the Box Sports, of course. If you've seen the show before, the first sponsor I'm going to read off is the one I love reading off because I like saying it, is Jason Fine, J. Fine Law Attorney, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. And his phone number there is 856-209-5258. And his offices in Pennsylvania, he has one in Pittsburgh, located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. And the phone number there is 412-365-8151. And he has an office in Philadelphia on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, Attorney Big Al. And finally, my sponsor, I currently have a sponsor, and, whatever, I'd seen it on the Facebook, looking for content creators, blah, 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 the podcasters. And so I'm like, why not? What the hell's it going to hurt? Ain't going to hurt nothing. But W Energy, it's hard to see. I got light here. This is what I currently I'm drinking. It's an energy drink. Contains coffee, fruit extract, all natural ingredients. It's a jitterless energy drink. And that's what I dig about it. When I used to drink Monsters, back when I used to work swing shift many years ago, well, not that long ago, but 10 years ago. I haven't worked swing shift probably. I've been where I'm at now 6 years, and that's all straight shift. But I worked 17 years of swing shift, and I used to drink a lot of Monsters I'd say about 10 years ago. I used to drink a lot of Monster before I kind of stopped, and because I was getting the jitters, a lot of it felt like the heart was always racing, and and plus it's super expensive. But this jitterless energy drink, and I've been drinking this, and I really like it. It has a great flavor, great smell, and you don't get the jitters. You get that energy burst, you get that energy pick me up, and I dig it. I really do. This flavor here is Cali O Cream, as you can see there. It's a mango orange cream flavor. Smells great, like I said, and yeah, absolutely. So you head on over to www.w.gg for their products. Check their products out. Select something, pick something, and use my promo code, The Bat Cave. That promo code, once again, is The Bat Cave for 10% off your order. You'll be helping me out. You'll be helping them out, and you also get a great product. They also have really kick-ass shakers. I got a couple of their shakers I bought. They have hydro packs as well. Not just energy drinks, but hydro packs, no sugar added. So it's all good there. And Yeah, I dug the hydro packs. So actually, the hydro packs were the first thing I bought. Was a shaker, and I think as a sample pack, like I think 8 packs of their hydro drink, and they also sell the cans of their energy drinks. They got T-shirts and stuff like that, and so many other different flavors of their energy drink. So be sure to check it out. That's www.w.gg. My promo code is the Batcave. So type that in there. Also, check Out of the Box Sports out on YouTube and X at OOTBox Sports. Give us a follow and a subscribe, please. We'd appreciate it. Tell your friends about us. We got a bunch of different shows here on Out of the Box Sports. Some great shows, great hosts, and New York Giants we cover, Washington Commanders, Dallas Cowboys, the Raiders. I do the Kings show. I do a Mets show as well. We have wrestling talk on here. So many different shows. And if there's a show that you're interested in maybe doing, you say, hey, I want to get into the podcasting game, but you guys don't do my show. I'd like to talk about, I don't know, the Kansas City Royals or something, whatever, any team, or even if you want to talk, entertainment, movies, TV shows, you want to start a podcast like that, reach out to us and we'll figure something out. So be sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel and on X at OOTBox Sports. We're also on Facebook, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Me personally, you can check me out on X, or formerly known as Twitter, at SB_Lair_OOTBE. Once again, that's at SB_Lair. That's LAIR _OOTBE. That's on X. Give me a follow there. And my YouTube channel is at the Batcave _OOTBSE. At the Batcave _OOTBSE. That's my YouTube channel. Give me a sub there. I'd appreciate it very much. But first and foremost, go to Out of the Box Sports, OOTBox Sports, and subscribe to that. That's more important than what the Batcave is. And help us out. So, all right. So that's all I have for today. I appreciate everybody checking the show out. Share this out. Throw your comments out there later on if you're watching this later, and maybe I'll get a notification and we'll chit chat or whatever. So thank you, everybody. And again, I talked about this last week about how you can have. I was very, very angry last week when I talked Raiders, Silver and Black Lair Raiders. A little bit of anger in my voice, a little bit of yelling. But how can you say just win, baby, or a commitment to excellence or whatever when you're tanking or you're playing as poorly as you have or been? It's very hard for me to swallow. But still, I end every show like this, and I continue to end every show like this because I believe it. I believe in this organization. And one day we'll get it figured out one day. So thank you, everybody. And until next time, just win, baby.